Hello and welcome to Dance Bants. I'm your host, and who am I? I don't know today, but I'm here with Jackie Laso. Jackie started dancing at 5 years old in tap, jazz and ballet. After working as a professional dancer, vocalist and director, Jackie moved to New York where she learnt house, hip-hop, whacking, vogue, light beat, popping, locking and hustle from the OGs. She's done so much that I need to list it on the screen here. Jackie has been instrumental in bringing house, whacking and vogue to Australia and is a pioneer of our community. Please welcome Jackie Laso. Firstly, where are we?
Let's say we're in New York.
Nice. What do you reckon?
It's Christmas soon.
Yeah. Are you afraid of dying?
No.
Nice. Simple. That's it.
Not this year.
Not this year.
Yeah, as in because my partner Rob died in February. I've been reading a lot about the afterlife and what happens and consciousness and is it produced by the mind or once we die? Sorry to dive so deep.
Yeah, no,
so early.
Go dive deep.
But and so I've been reading a lot about that, which there is like a lot of, what do you say, neuroscientific research into it. And from all the near-death experiences that I've heard, a lot of testimonies, even though it's anecdotal, across time and cultures, there seems to be some common threads. And actually my dad told me that he had one when he was younger. And the one thing you just hear all the time is how amazing it is, how beautiful it is. And so that's made me very curious. Yeah, but it's also just comforting where you think, oh, well, if it's that good.
Have you ever shat yourself?
I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say yes, especially because, when we're out of our mothers, when we're infants, we have no choice. But for the first 3 or 2.5 years, I don't know what it is now, that we have no choice.
Yeah, nah. Jackie, have you ever stolen something?
Yeah. Can I put a little?
You can add more.
I was really young.
Okay. Can you speak another language?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you have an enemy?
No.
Do you have a big secret?
We all have secrets, don't we?
Yeah. Can you play a musical instrument?
I can play a bit of piano, but not well.
Mm-hmm. Can you sing?
I used to sing in my 20s. Nice. I used to be a singer, but I don't class myself as a singer at all.
Ballet or jazz?
Jazz.
Wiggles or high five?
I played Henry the Octopus for the Wiggles, so I'd have to say the Wiggles.
Whoa, what a bombshell. How long did you do that?
1999 for 6 months. I did like many different regional tours. Henry the Octopus, which needed to be like a tall girl, very limmy.
Right,
and
so
like
not a dude.
Very effeminate octopus. Very feminine octopus.
Wow. I need to know more about
That's like the only thing that impresses anyone about anything I've ever done.
Was it really hot in there?
Yes. But I played Wags the dog for one. We did one show in Townsville. And Townsville, subtropical, humid. The air was soup and it was a really hot day and we actually did a show on the beach. I literally had to run on sand and Wags the dog was like fur, heavy, brown, so just absorbing all the sunlight. That was like really sweaty. Henry's nothing compared to that.
That is super interesting and random. Do you want to be famous?
No.
Big show or intimate informal showing?
Intimate informal showing.
Yeah or nah?
Yeah.
Start off by telling us like a little bit about yourself and your history.
We'll go back to the beginning. My parents are Uruguayan. They came here in the 70s with my sister when she was 6 months. Working class family, lived in the southwestern suburbs of Sydney. I loved my childhood. We lived in an apartment, 5 people in an apartment, but I loved it. I think I was 5 or 6. Mum asked me, do you want to stay home and watch TV or do you want to go to dance class? So then I started doing ballet classes. I was incredibly shy, very, very shy. At some point I got really confident. I moved studios to Glendale and then after school I worked in various entertainment jobs, I really wanted to be in a musical. I did like full time at Brent Street. I'd finished that. Like I had some moderate success, you could say. Like I got into shows. I got into Hair, the Arena Spectacular, which was like really big at that time because it was going to be the first of that kind of thing, an Arena Spectacular with John Stevens and Christine Anu, and it was going to be like directed by a guy called Richard Werrett, who was a popular director back then. Unfortunately, he died of AIDS and then the producers pulled out, and so that was going to be my big break, and it didn't happen, so I was like a little bit dejected. And then I turned more to singing, and I was like in a cabaret group. Then I went to uni, fell in love with the old buildings at Sydney University. I was doing psychology. and then I had to travel. Once I saw that, I got to go to Europe. Yeah, it sort of wasn't until like my late 20s that I discovered. I started off, actually locking was the first class that I did.
Wow.
Locking, yeah. And then I started going to dance school, which was like at the street dance studio in Sydney. And when I went there, I'd go there to do like breaking classes, and I saw a house class. Tsuyoshi, who's a Japanese dancer who was living in Sydney at that time. He's still here. He was teaching house, and I just remember seeing it, and I was like, what is that? He was doing loose legs. And I was like, wow. Like I was just like, wow, where did you learn that? And he said, there's a guy from Korea on the street who teaches at an entertainment center, which is back then it was a bit different, not for money or anything like that, but just because people were down there training. And he was like, was Leo, Leo Ickley, who's, I always call him like the first person who really inspired me with house dance. There was like a few of us who became obsessed with house. Yeah. Rod was one of them, me, there were a few other people there as well. And we would just like go to the classes, and we'd go to the street and the entertainment center, and we just like, right, let's just practice. And then about a year into learning with Leo, I went to him and said, like, I really love this. Like, how do I get better? How do I get into this more? Like, what do I do? And he just said, go to New York. He said, go to New York, learn with Brian Green, learn with Ejo, learn with Marge, go to the clubs, learn with Elite Force, Dance Fusion. And that was it. I had a production company at the time. I was producing some cabaret shows with two business partners. And I was studying environmental science, plus trying to take as many dance classes as I could. And I ended up just taking a loan. I deferred uni and thought, that's it, I'm going to New York. So, it was a big sacrifice. I was super, super duper awakened. You could say it was kind of like a spiritual awakening. You feel like you came home the first time I walked into the club. I had that feeling of like there's something in the air all the time. Even when things were like shit, there was still some kind of magic.
I guess you have a pretty unique perspective because you're still training after quite a long time, I guess.
Yeah.
You've integrated into your lifestyle, and I don't know if a lot of people achieve that, Well,
because I think it is a lifestyle. It is hard when you're trying to hold, when you work full time. Obviously some people in our community have, got married, they've had a baby, but I can see that they've still made it part of their lives. I think for me, it's always been there. When I lived in New York, I had two partners, not at the same time, but I had two partners. So, sometimes I was like, oh, I want to go to every club night. I want to go to every class. It's just like it wasn't possible to do that because you still had to dedicate time to your loved one or, so that those struggles are here as well.
Yeah.
And I think some of the people that I really looked up to and I still look up to in New York, it was just part of their life. And I think that's probably one of the biggest lessons for me when I got to New York, because I think ever since I was young, I had this idea that there's a time limit on dance. 18, I was thinking, well, like I'll dance for a year and then I'll get serious about my life and get a degree and do this and do that. But when I found street dance, it was a culture. It wasn't just like, yes, it was a skill you'd learnt, you trained, but for me, it was, especially in New York, much more of a culture in terms of you could be a part of it and it didn't have to be like the center of your life or your life's goal to be amazing. But, most of the people over there, especially like the older heads, they, obviously they had families, they had, jobs that they held down. I think when you look at it in that context, it's like dance is living, like it's living, you know. It's not,
Yeah.
I think for a lot of us, it's not just something we do to like, you know, okay, tick, got some exercise done. You know, no, like we enjoy it. We love it. We get together and we do it because we love it. We go out to a club because we love it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't see, you know, going to ICC and like having fun for 2 hours dancing. I don't see that as a chore. I don't see, you know, it's something that I look forward to. But I think for a long time I struggled as well because I was like, oh no, but I should be, you know, all my friends around me like getting married, they're having babies, they're, you know, they've got careers, this, that. And, you know, it's hard to live in a society, and maybe it's just the way life is, where people are like, okay, this this should be the trajectory for you. And I grew up thinking, yeah, of course, like I'm gonna not even gonna question that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a mother. I'm gonna meet someone. I'm gonna have a partner. It's, you know, it's just like once something like this enters your life, especially if you're doing it at a later stage. Like I personally, I'm too passionate about this. I don't care. I'm going. I'm getting alone and I'm going. They're easy decisions when you just go with your feeling, but then, but you have that looming over your head. Like, what are you doing? You know, like,
Yeah.
start saving money and like buy an apartment, like be an adult. But I love this. It doesn't even matter if I'm a good dancer. It just doesn't even come into it. I just want to do this and I want to be there. So many good things happened, you know. It just didn't matter how it turned out. You don't regret what brought so much happiness, I guess. But definitely, especially women, we feel those pressures to think about certain things.
Yeah.
And just even dance as well. Like it can be a part of your life forever.
Yeah.
Forever. There's no time limit. Like I know there's a professional world, there's like a commercial world where they're, you know, I don't know, like how do you feel? Like do you feel like, oh well, there's a time limit on that sort of thing, and like you're not even allowed to think of this as a long-term thing? But when it's part of when you're just doing it for the love of it, or for, you know, or because it's part of the culture of where you come from, where you live, or like it's a beautiful thing to realize that you don't have to give this up.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the street style scene that has completely flipped my vision on this. And it's such a shame that people don't realize you don't have to quit. Like you'll be able to do it forever.
For me personally, I loved when I didn't have to see dance as like this thing that I had to be great at in order to get jobs. I mean, that finished very early in my early 20s. It just opened up a whole new world. And I think it was like, that was so much more me than, you know, than whatever the other world was that I just never felt that I fit in anyway. But yeah, that's the pressure was off and just full enjoyment. Yeah. And funnily enough, like you almost take it way more seriously. When people ask me what I do, it's just like, well, I dance and I do this, and they're always confused. Like, well, what do you mean? Like, where do you perform shows? Yeah. You know, it's just like, no, like I dance, you know. Yeah. So whether you're good or not, like it doesn't matter. It's just like, this is what I do. This is my serious hobby. Yeah. Even calling it a serious hobby is a bit of a demotion from what it really means, because what we're talking about before, like this is a way of life. Like this is. Yeah, totally. I'm never stopping this. Like as long as it makes me happy. Cool. And nobody has to.
Yeah, I guess the pressure I feel is within myself. That like there's going to, and I guess every single body is different, but I suppose imagining that there's like an athletic peak of my physique and whether that's going to deteriorate at a certain age, and what is that for me, because like I'm already like I have really bad pain everywhere. But I think that's from years of doing a style that isn't really good for anyone's body. I feel a pressure to get as good as I can to be able to battle
before you go down, right? Yeah. No.
But how does your body feel?
Oh yeah, look, in the last few years for sure, I felt like I would say that in the last few years I've pretty much, for a long time actually, I've backed off doing anything too crazy. Like I'm not going to push myself to, you know, like I want to push myself, but I don't want to do it in a way that it's going to injure myself and then affect me for the rest of my life. I really just shied away from saying, well, you're too old to be doing this, like you shouldn't be doing this now, or like once you reach that age, like you should probably like back off a bit, or I just don't really tell myself that. And I never did from when I started this. I just never did. And again, because of the people that I was with in New York, the people that I looked up to and that were in the clubs dancing, like there is no limit. Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Jackie.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have any final words?
to the dancers
Yeah.
out there. Nao, who was I don't know if you've heard of Nao, but he was a beautiful Japanese hip hop dancer, one of the pillars of the street dance community, who died a couple years ago. He always used to say something, just keep dancing, keep enjoying, keep dancing. Yeah, very simple, very powerful words. Keep dancing, keep enjoying, and be yourself.
Yeah.
Keep being yourself. And yes, of course, whatever style you're interested in, like learn foundations, seek out the people who've learnt from the best in Sydney or anywhere you go. When the OGs come, get to their class and make the most of it, because these people aren't going to be around forever. And we are so lucky that there are many OGs. It's hard now with COVID, but we are so lucky. Like this is a living, breathing culture. If you love it enough, go to the place.
Yeah.
Go to the place. It's hard. It's not always easy to do. It's a huge sacrifice if you don't have a lot of money, especially. But it's, if you love it, I think you're just going to do that anyway. I think your passion will just get you like a wave and bring you to the shores of whatever it is that you love.
Damn, I'm inspired. I'm going to go to that place. I'm going to go to New York.
And London and Paris.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, cool. Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.